hello, good afternoon, and Tokoza. Thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Vusela with Gogo uMkhanyakude, which is me. I am very excited to be joining you today and to be talking with you about the subject matter that is at hand, which is sex and dating. It's something that so many of us in the healing community deal with. It's a real issue. It's a real life struggle, even for some people, to engage in these types of relationships and to have some sort of understanding about this particular matter. So we're just going to dive right in. Again, this is Gogo uMkhanyakude, and I am very grateful to be joining and communicating with you right now. We're just going to go ahead and get started. One of the things that Spirit spoke to me and kind of shared with me about the nature of being a healer, being a Sangoma, a priest, someone who is called to do spiritual work, is sex. That's a big issue. And even as far as being a Sangoma, what that means. For a Sangoma, it is, we share our physical body space with the ancestors who walk with us. So the very first thing that I want to talk about with regard to sex and dating as a healer in the 21st century is the fact that your body is not your own. Okay, when you are an oracle, when you are a priest, when you are a healer, when you are someone with a spiritual calling, when you are someone with spiritual gifts, and especially if you are an initiated person into any particular tradition, it is safe to assume that sex must be approached from a spiritual place. It can't be something that's just purely carnal. It can't be something that's just to meet a need or to satisfy an urge. It is definitely something that needs to be approached with a spiritual mindset, spiritual awareness, understanding that your body is not your own. Even in the Bible, it talks about your body being the temple of the Holy Spirit. And so what is the Holy Spirit? Well, there's many different definitions, for the Holy Spirit, or explanations for the Holy Spirit. But to keep it simple in this context, I would say that your spirit, the spirit that is you, is the Holy Spirit. It is the spirit that is holy, and it is what is occupying your body. But then if you're initiated into a certain tradition and you have spirit guides or ancestors or deities or archangels that walk with you, they also inhabit your body. Your body is the temple where all of this spiritual activity is going on. So you want to be very careful and very mindful in choosing your partners, because we all know that sex is such a sacred energy exchange, and with whom you share your body matters. It matters who you share your temple space with. Because again, your body is not just your body. It's not just, oh, this is, all I am and there is no more. That's not true. There is so much more to you, especially if you're a priest, and I keep reiterating that because that's who I'm speaking to. Speaking to gifted people, speaking to called people, initiated people, and those who want to date us. It is important that everyone knows that when you are encountering someone who has a spiritual gift, someone that has a spiritual calling, and someone who has taken the steps to initiate and to actually go through the processes of becoming duly authorized in their spiritual tradition, it is important that you begin to recognize the elevated nature of spiritual energy in your life. Okay, so your body does not just belong to you. For those of us who are Sangoma, that is a literal statement. Your body just doesn't belong to you. You have idlozi, you have amidlozi that are all in your body. And there's a reason why we wear the beads and why we wear the cloths and why we wear the things and do the things that we do. It is because we are literally housing this energy within our being. And so when you are engaging with someone sexually, it is important to remember that it's not just you that's engaging with someone sexually. It is all the spirits that work with you. I remember when I was in the church, I used to preach that, whatever you do, if you do it in the dark, if you do it in the light, if you do it behind closed doors or out in the open, that, Jesus was watching, and that was definitely the message. And it wasn't like, oh, you better watch out because Jesus is watching. It was to bring awareness that you can never escape the eye of the divine. You can never escape the eye of the spirits that walk with you. They walk with you everywhere you go and in every decision that you make. And so it is important that when we are choosing sexual partners, that we remember that and that we keep that in mind. For those of us who are initiated into certain spiritual practices, it is very, very important that we remember and retain the sanctity and the sacredness of sex, okay? And it requires a certain level of discipline. I mean, and we're going to get into it today because there's a lot to this, and if you're asking questions, I see that a lot of you are coming on. If you're asking questions, please feel free to put your questions in the comment box. I will respond to them after the broadcast, okay? So I'm not engaging in the conversation until after Spirit has finished saying what needs to be said, okay? So just put your comments, your questions into the comment box. Feel free to share it, and we'll deal with all of your questions or concerns after we're finished sharing this information. So yes, your body is sacred. Your body is holy. When you are an initiated priest, when you are a Sangoma, a Curandera, an Ianifa, a Babalawo, whatever, a reverend, whatever title that comes with your initiation, it is important to understand that you absolutely cannot approach sex the same way. You cannot, because it will cause so many problems. Because the truth is that to be a priest, to be a called person, a healer, someone who's gone through the rites of initiation, that means that there ought to be, in an ideal world, a certain level of self-control, a certain level of temperance, a certain level of self-awareness and spiritual awareness to understand that what you're feeling may not be for you to express that energy in that moment. And that takes me to another point, that a lot of times the sexual energy that we feel as priests, especially as Sangomas, the sexual energy that we may feel stirring up within us is not necessarily for sex. It is for creation. It is for manifestation. It is for the invocation of the ancestors. The ancestors sit and rest and reside in the base of the spine. And that's both front and back, right? Very similar to what Eastern religion would call Kundalini energy. In Ubungoma, we have Umbelini energy. And that, to me, speaks more of the ancestral connection to the energy that we feel that awakens within us, because Umbelini shares the same root as umbilicus, or your umbilical cord, okay, which ties you back to the mother. So whenever we're speaking about ancestry and ancestral things, we're always speaking about going and returning to the mother spirit, okay, to the great mothers, the great womb. That's why we go into the Ndumba. That's why we go into the caves. I could go on and on about womb symbolism in this particular tradition, and maybe I'll do a video on it. But it is very, very, very important to understand that it is this energy that we're feeling sometimes that gets to stirring up in our loins, as the Bible would say, you get stirred up in your loins, and we feel, the urges, and we feel the sensations and everything. But you have to always be in tune with your spirits, because they may want to work. They may want to, those who walk with you may want to be work. They want to work. They want to express themselves in their way. They may want you to go pray. They may want, it may be a reading or something or they may want you to go find some herbs or whatever the message is that they're bringing to you. Sometimes it will come in the form of sexual arousal, if I can just be very plain about it. You will get turned on, like out of nowhere. Just woof, what is that? That's your spirit stirring. The same spirit that enlivens your mortal body. Okay, that's the most powerful energy that you have, is your sexual energy. So your ancestral guides are going to absolutely tap into that. It is important that you live a spiritual life and look at sex spiritually, so that you are not constantly misaligning that energy with actually having sex with someone. Because you and I both know, we're all grown. You and I both know that when you get turned on and when you get sexually aroused, you don't always make the best decisions in terms of who you express that energy with, just when you're in your own self, because your attention is diverted, right? We all have made bad decisions when we wanted some sex. I don't know many people, I don't know anybody who hasn't been like, I wanted him when I had him, when we were doing the do, but then afterwards, and it doesn't have anything to do with the person or whatever. It's all about what that energy was actually coming to enliven you to do. So every time you feel sexual energy, every time you feel turned on, every time you get horny, every time you get erect or you get a little moist or whatever the case may be, it is not, as a Sangoma, it is not for you to go out and have sex with someone. It is for you to tune into your body, to tune into your energy and your spirits, to find out what exactly is being expressed, what exactly is being released, and what do I need to understand about this moment. Everything is a teacher, even your sexual energy. It will teach you how easily distracted you can be. It will teach you how your spirit moves within you, how it flows within you. It'll show you where blockages are. It'll show you where overages are, because we talk a lot about blockages, sexual blockages, but some of us are over or hyper sexual, right? Which is, any extreme is not good. You want to have a healthy balance. So your sexual energy will teach you where you may be out of balance or in balance or whatever the case may be. But it is a matter of being in tune. It is a matter of listening to spirit and listening to your spirits and understanding your body. Okay? It's about understanding your body and your spirits and how your spirits work within your body. Okay? So those are the first two things, is that your body is not your own. As a Sangoma, you share your body with the Dlozi. And so it's not always what you think it is, what you're feeling. It's not always that. I know a lot of us are concerned with it. I see it on social media and talking with other Sangomas that I know, that a lot of us are concerned about being lonely, about not being loved, about not being cared for or tended to in our natural state, of being, because we have Idlozi, and Idlozi is so, I don't want to say demanding, but Idlozi requires a lot of energy. Being a Sangoma requires a lot of energy, and there's just a lot of things that you feel like you're not allowed to do. And casual sex is one of those things. And I'm a very sexual woman. I'm a fully grown, fully functioning, healthy adult female. Okay. But I also have Idlozi, and I also have a responsibility to make sure that my temple remains clear and open for spirit to move and for spirit to speak. So what I find is that when I have those moments and that feeling comes upon me, then it is incumbent upon me to tune in to what spirit may be trying to say to me, to what my body is trying to say to me, and to understand that it might not be to actually act upon that urge. And that can be something for people to get over. you know. Sex is an important part of our lives as adults, as humans. It's a very important part. And when you're used to just getting it whenever you want it, you're used to getting it how you want it, you can do what you want because you've grown and all of that. And then when you go through initiation and you realize that you actually don't have that level of autonomy when it comes to dealing with spirit. You have to reconcile with spirit with whatever you do. As a Sangoma, as a priest, as a healer, you always have to reconcile with spirit. So I want to be very clear here and let you know that I'm not telling you that you have to be asexual, that you have to be celibate, that you have to be abstinent, that you can't have sex, that you can't, go out and enjoy yourself and date and all of that. And we're going to get into dating in a few minutes. But I wanted to deal with the sex part first because that seems to be, it's a sticky point. I know if we're going to be completely honest that, a lot of us get cranky when we don't have sex, when we don't have that, when we're not able to release that energy. We get cranky, we get mean, we get crotchety, we get irritable, you know what I'm saying? And just mean and all of that. But I find that happens when the sexual energy, it has not been released in the way that is best suited for the moment. Meaning, it's time to pray. It's 3 a.m., it's 5 a.m., it's whatever time you pray. And you start feeling horny instead. And you have an immediate decision to make, right? Because the urge is strong. I suggest you get up and go pray, because that energy is really there to push forward the prayers that spirit wants to hear come from you. And once you finish praying, then it's like suddenly the urge is not so strong. Well, because that energy is not always for intercourse. It's not always for physical intercourse. A lot of times it is for spiritual activation and spiritual manifestation. And again, I'm speaking to priests, and I'm also speaking to people who are dating priests or who want to date priests. You got to understand that it's not a regular schmegular person that you are interested in engaging with. You may be sexually attracted to this person. And now I'm speaking to those who are interested in dating and in being sexually active with priests, right? You may see them and you may say, you know what? That person is so fine. They are just so beautiful. And I love their energy and their spirit. And they really, really turn me on. I don't know what it is about this person that just absolutely turns me on. I am inexplicably attracted to this person. It is, in fact, the spirits that walk with them. It is their light. It is their gift. Yes, you may be physically attractive. They may have the thighs you like or the chest you like or the abs you like or whatever. But it is, in fact, their gift that you are attracted to. It is their calling. It is the special hand of God that is on them that causes you to feel that strong attraction. And most of the time, unfortunately, people who are not initiated, when they become attracted to an initiated person, they don't have the information, they don't have the experience, they don't have the wherewithal to understand that what they're feeling is not really what they think they're feeling. They think they want forever, but what it really is that their soul, their spirit is reaching out for some healing, some light, some love. Okay. And so as healers, it is very important, and this goes into the dating portion. As healers, it is very, very important that we understand and recognize that a lot of the time, those people who are going to come to you and express their interest in dating you, you have to listen with a spiritual ear. Because immediately spirit will tell you that this person is not a partner. This person is a patient. This person is not a partner. It's a patient. And as healers, and I can attest to this because I've done it many times, we end up falling in love with our patients, thinking that they're our partners, and they've been sent to us for healing. But because we have unhealed wounds, because we have unmet needs or needs that we feel are unmet, we tend to, make whoever comes say, oh, you must be the one. But a lot of times they're not the one. They're someone that you're sent to help because that is your primary mission. So it is important to know that, again, just to kind of recap, that your body is not your own. Your body, you share your body with the spirits that you work with, the spirits that live with you, the spirits that you have been initiated into. They also share this body space. And so it's important to remember that it is sacred and that your body is holy and your body is sacred, and it is the temple of all of the Holy Spirits that walk with you, including your own. Okay, that's first and foremost. The second thing is that sex is never casual. Sex is a sacred energy exchange. Whenever you engage in sexual energy or in sexual intercourse or in a sexual interaction with someone, you are exchanging energy. You are literally taking on some of their energy and you are depositing in them some of your energy. And it doesn't matter who's male or who's female because it goes both ways. I know a lot of people seem to think that only women carry all the energy from past male lovers, and that is true. That women do carry the energy from past male lovers, but let me help you, brothers. You carry the energy from every woman that you've ever had sex with, and when you are dealing with a priest, a priestess, a Sangoma, a healer, any person who is in the service of spirit, and you bring all of the ghosts of the women that you've been with to this priestess, she is going to begin to she's going to read you for filth. She's going to tell you exactly what's going on because the spirits of the energy of all the women that you've been with are informing her because you dumped them off inside of her. Your prostate. This is why a lot of men suffer from prostate issues and they don't know it. Your prostate is your womb as a man. Everybody has a womb. And your prostate is your womb. And in your womb is where all of the energy from all of your lovers resides. And so if you've never done a cleansing, you've never cleansed your body, you've never done palaza, you've never done a futa, you've never steamed or taken any herbs or done any detoxification of your body, the moment you engage with a priest or priestess, okay, because it doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, whatever, the moment you engage with someone else, you're going to drop all of that energy off into that person, and it is not okay. Okay, so that's why for those of us who are initiated, for those of us who are called, it is important to remember that sex is never casual. It's never ever casual. You don't just screw someone. You are making an energetic alliance and connection that is stronger than you could ever imagine. And if it's harmful to you, it's going to take a lot of work for you to break that bond. Sex is not trivial. And it is more than something you do to meet a need, to meet an urge, rather. Okay? We all get urges. But the thing that separates us as humans from our brothers and sisters in the animal kingdom is the fact that we have consciousness and the ability to choose whether or not to act on those urges. And for those of us who are spiritual, and for those of us who have taken the next step of initiation, and for those of us who understand that our bodies are not our own and that we live in service of spirit, it's never casual. It's never something that you just do. We have the ability to tap into higher consciousness and approach sex from a higher plane. Now, I'm not saying that it's got to be all deep and spooky and all of that. Not at all. Sex is meant to be pleasurable. It is meant to be fun, right? But it's also meant to be spiritual, in addition to the physical aspect of it. the spiritual aspect cannot be ignored. Okay, so that's the second part, that sex is never casual. The third point that I made is that sexual arousal doesn't always mean that you're supposed to have sex with someone else or with yourself. I was asked this question on my YouTube channel about what do you say about sangomas and masturbation. Masturbation or self-pleasuring is something that is controversial, right? It's controversial no matter what spirituality or spiritual practice you adhere to, whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, whether you are a traditional healer, no matter what kind of healer you are, masturbation is always a touchy subject, no pun intended. The way that I understand it is that sex with yourself or anyone else, it all falls under the same umbrella. So there are no special rules according to my understanding, okay? And if I'm mistaken, if there's another Sangoma that's listening, by all means, please give me your input, because I feel like this is a highly subjective subject. It's very personal. For some people, part of their healing is learning to self-pleasure. When you have been, especially women, because women are not encouraged to be, traditionally, and globally, women are not encouraged to be sexually free. We're not encouraged to be in tune with our sexuality. There is a lot of pressure still all over the world, even with all of the advances that have been made in sexual liberation and sex education and all of that. There's still so much pressure for women to be chaste, to be virgins, to keep our legs closed, to not be sexual beings. There's this idea that men are sexual and women are reproductive, meaning that we aren't supposed to enjoy sex, that it's only supposed to be for reproduction, right? And that's our purpose, is to reproduce. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. I believe that both genders all sexes are sexual and reproductive. The sex organs are the reproductive organs. There's no separation between sex and reproduction, right? In terms of your physical and biological makeup, like the sex organs are the reproductive organs. So therefore, when the question arises about your ability to pleasure yourself, again, I say that it is something that you have to get in tune with your spirits and ask and talk with them about. Nobody can tell you what to do with your body, ultimately, right? Nobody can tell you when to touch yourself, when not to touch yourself. We humans, we touch ourselves from the womb, so we're always touching ourselves. Babies reach inside their diapers and twiddle with their diddles all the time because it feels good. So in that aspect, I honestly don't feel like there's anything wrong. But the issue is that when you are a healer, when you have idlozi, when you have ancestors, right, and spirit guides and everything that you've acknowledged and initiated and made contracts with, right, and you have agreed to share your body space, I think that it is the same thing with whether you're having sex with anybody else or with yourself. When the urge comes, you have to investigate it. And it may be overwhelming. Listen, I'm being very transparent. I'm a grown woman, okay? I'm a grown woman. I have been single, unmarried. I got divorced in 2008. It is 2020, okay? That's 12 years. So it is a challenge, and I'm not saying I've been celibate that whole time, because I haven't. But as I became more in tune with myself, more in tune with my spirits, and as I began to go on my journey of Ukutwasa and Ntwaso, and this journey of uMkhanya as a Sangoma, and I began to understand my own energy, my own spirits, how they work within my own body, what these feelings are, what these feelings mean, I have become much, 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 much more discriminating, to the point where I have yielded that need to be held and to be touched. I keep that on the altar because I want the partner that Idlozi has for me. That's going to help me bear the weight of my calling, and who's going to understand that it ain't always what it looks like. Who's going to understand that the energy may be intense, but that it means that we need to go down and pottle. It doesn't mean that we need to get busy under the sheets. Like that's what I've been talking with my ancestors about. And that's what I encourage all healers to do. For some healers, the truth is that you won't get married, is that you won't, have a partner maybe for a specific amount of time until you complete a certain assignment that your ancestors want you to complete. And that is something that you also have to make peace with, is understanding that not only is your body no longer your own, but your life is no longer your own. So you can't just go out and choose someone. This person may not be who your ancestors have prepared for you. And anyone that you choose outside of ancestral preparation is going to leave you wanting, is going to leave you holding the bag. So it is about you as the healer attuning yourself to your spirit, attuning yourself to your ancestors, knowing how your ancestors speak to you, speak through you, how they flow through you, how the energy flows through you. And it also is about you trusting your ancestors to guide you and to send you your partner. And so this leads us into another point that I wanted to make about same-sex relationships, polyamorous relationships that we find in the healing community, right? And so it is a fact that there are more women and female Sangomas than there are male. And there are also a pretty good, solid number of Sangomas that I've met personally. And then others that I've seen that are gay, that are lesbian, that are bisexual, that are polyamorous in their relationship structure, and all of that. And it has very, very little to do with just the base sexuality. It has much, much, much more to do with this person and this person's ancestors being able to work together to get the job done. And in coming together, these two people, oftentimes you see same-sex Sangoma couples. I don't assume to know whether or not they're actually having sexual intercourse or not. That's not my business. I don't care. But what I do know is that the needs and the requirements of being a Sangoma exceed who you're sleeping with. To partner with a Sangoma or to be a Sangoma and to have a partner, there are so many nuances and just different subtleties that we go through as healers. We go through emotional changes. We go through physical changes. It could be the 3 a.m. and we have to go scream, and we have to go, and we have to pass our spirits, and we have to express spirits sometimes, and that happens. And if you need a partner who is able to understand that, who is able to hold that, who's able to hold that space for you without thinking that you're crazy, without judging you and belittling you or questioning you, like, what's all that about? Why you got to do all that? Somebody who is not offended by the smell of Impepo, somebody who is not offended by bells or clapping or belching or all of the different affectations that we have as Sangomas. It is important that you allow Idlozi to send your partner to you. And listen, I'm speaking to you from the first book of uMkhanyakude, okay? Because I've tried to make that decision on my own and to say, oh, this person is the one, because they are a Sangoma. I fell into that trap as a young initiate, a young graduate. It was like, oh, this person is an Mkulu, so that must mean that they're going to do right, that this is good and everything. And I learned very quickly, and Spirit brought me in very quickly and said, no, child. Just because this person has Idlozi does not mean that they are for you. You have to trust spirit. And I keep going back to this connection and this relationship and this agreement that has been made with spirit when you put the beads on. You are making an agreement with your spirits, with your ancestors, with your guides to share space, to cohabitate in your body, in your physical form with your spirits, to carry them with you everywhere you go. So that's why it's so important to approach sex from a spiritual place, a spiritual mindset, not just from the needs of your physical body. Your ancestors are not going to let your body fall into decay. Like, you're not going to stop working, if you understand what I mean. Your body's not going to stop functioning just because you are in the service of spirit and just because you are a healer. Okay? So they're going to take care of you. Your womb health, your prostate health, your reproductive health matters. So they want you to take care of that. Your ancestors want you to take care of yourself. But in terms of expressing sexual energy specifically, because it is the energy of creation, because it is the energy of manifestation, it is so important to make sure that you are expressing that energy through the proper channels. And I'm here to tell you that as a Sangoma, many times, especially if you're single and you're not already married, and you're not in a relationship, I'm telling you, that energy is not for you to go out and to have sex, because as a Sangoma, we have the ability of influence. It's almost like, you can really misuse the gift that you have just to satisfy your own urges and to meet your own needs. You don't want to do that. That's disrespectful and even dangerous, I would say. Okay? So, I think the other point that I made was that those people who come to you as a healer and express attraction to you, it's not always physical attraction. That's what they think it is. But it's up to you as the healer to know that, no, this person is coming for healing. There's some healing or some light or some love or some energy that they need. And they don't know that. They just think it's, what they're feeling for you. And it's just deep attraction. Oh my God, I just can't explain it. I'm so inexplicably attracted to you. I know I've heard that. I'm sure plenty of other Sangomas hear that. Because, we're not all ugly. I don't think I've really ever seen an ugly Sangoma. When you have it Lozi, it's something about people who have it Lozi where they are beautiful and they are attractive and sticky, like sticky paper, and people want to hold on. And it's up to you to be so centered and so solid in your spiritual walk that you don't fall prey to that, and you don't let your ego get the best of you. Okay? So, for a person who is dating a Sangoma, who is looking to date a Sangoma, who is interested in a Sangoma, again, please understand, it's not your regular, schmegular person. It's not your, it's not just some conscious brother or sister that has read some books and wears RBG. And not to belittle that, but being a Sangoma is not that. It is a sacred calling. It is a calling to do the work of the ancestors in a very real way in your physical body. Our ancestors give us, as Sangomas, they give us the ability, the different spirits that we work with, and the different ancestors that we work with give us the ability to be able to look and see the sickness, whether it's physical, mental, or spiritual, and to be able to prescribe medicine, whether it's physical medicine, like herbal medicine, or whether it's spiritual medicine, some ritual that you need to do, or whether it's emotional medicine, there's some therapy that you need to have. But whatever it is, that is what being a Sangoma means. I feel like I need to express that right now. Like, that's what it is to be a Sangoma. Our spirits have the ability to look and see what's going on, and to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's going on, and to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of the surface. And to look and see what's really happening underneath all of all of the surface. So it's important for you, as someone who may be interested in dating a Sangoma, that you understand that you're not just dealing with that person. The visual image that I think I put together for this particular video shows a woman wrapped in like a traditional cloth, and she has on the bracelets that could possibly be, healer bracelets, but you see behind her the image of like a lion spirit. And she's resting on that lion spirit, and it kind of is empowering her and emboldening her. That's what it means to deal with a Sangoma. You are dealing with that person, but you are also very much dealing with the spirits that person walks with. And I'm here to tell you that we walk with very ancient, very royal, very big spirits. We are ancestors, these ancestral spirits, and especially those of us who have been called across the waters, which is, I think I'm going to bring my Bible on one day to talk about that. Those of us who have been called from here in America, the spirits that we walk with are very, very, very old, very, very, very ancient, and of royal lineage, and even of cosmic lineage and cosmic ancestry. And so it is important that you understand just who you're dealing with. And if you are not ready to be responsible for your own spirituality, if you come to a Sangoma as a partner, looking, to partner with them in a romantic state, it is important that you recognize what you're signing up for. It's not just that person. It's that person's spirit. And if you're not up for it, it can really, really cause some problems. It can cause you to, it can destroy the relationship. It can really just cause problems because it's out of alignment. So alignment is very, very important when we're talking about dating a Sangoma, dating a healer, dating someone who has spiritual gifts. If you are not in alignment within yourself, you are not going to be able to support a healer in a romantic relationship. If you don't have your own spiritual practice, if you don't have your own relationship with spirit, if you don't have to be initiated, I don't think, it's not a rule that says initiated people can only be with initiated people, but it is an important point for you to be able to be at least on a level where you understand. You need to understand certain things about your own spirituality. You need to understand certain spiritual principles. You need to understand the way that spirit moves within you and where you are in your spiritual journey and what your spiritual purpose is. Otherwise, that Sangoma that you're trying to get with is going to run all over you because they have Idlozi, because they have ancestors, and because they have already understood the things that you have yet to understand. And you don't want that. That's not fair to anybody. Relationships are supposed to be reciprocal. They're supposed to be balanced. And that's why a lot of times you do see initiated people with other initiated people, because there's a certain level of understanding that doesn't have to be explained. I don't have to tell you I don't have to teach you what chakras are. I don't have to teach you about how to connect with your ancestors. I don't have to teach you anything. And so I think that's very important for those of us who are gifted and called to, when we are choosing our partners, to let Idlozi make that choice for us. I know I'm in a place where, I have a promise and I'm holding on to that promise. And I am allowing my ancestors to put me in position so that when the time comes for that promise to be fully manifested, that I am in position. I am in position. I can't control what the other person's going to be doing, right? But I'm in position to be as spiritually sound and astute on my own as I can. So I'm not putting any additional burdens on the partner that's coming. You understand what I'm saying? So it's important for you, if you are not an initiated person and you're interested in a priest. And like I said, it doesn't even have to be a Sangoma. If you're interested in an Iya or a Tata or any other initiated person from any other type of tradition, even if they're a prophetess or an evangelist in the church, There are certain things that you need to understand. You can't just deal with them like, oh, I'm a man, you a woman, I have a penis, you have a vagina, let's get it on. That is not how it goes. Because you may be dealing with a person who is female in their physical body, but who has a male ancestor, a dominant male ancestor that is working with them. And when you flex, they're going to flex back. And you'll see who the bigger man is. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's the same way with women. You know, women, and you see a man and he's a priest and he's a wonderful person and da-da-da-da-da, but you haven't done your spiritual due diligence, and his prominent or dominant ancestral guide is a feminine energy, is a feminine spirit, a female ancestor. Oh, girl, you're going to get called out. You're going to get checked. That's the way that happens. So it's important for everybody to make sure that they are doing their own due diligence as far as their spirituality and their sexuality are concerned. Understand to not conflate your sexual urges with the need to have sexual intercourse. Understand that sexual energy is ancestral energy. It is spirit moving. It is the energy that keeps your body going. When you begin to lose your sexual vitality, you begin to age and die off. You shrink, you get wrinkled and dry. That's a loss of sexual vitality. So I'm here to tell you that you can be a priest. You can be someone, and maybe spirit does have you on a celibate journey right now. You can be celibate or abstinent or whatever it is right now, not actively engaging in sexual intercourse. It doesn't mean that your vitality is going to decrease because you are expressing that energy through spiritual means or through creative means. Sometimes you get that energy and you need to go paint, or you need to draw, or you need to build something, or you need to go make some beads or create something. It's not always just to have an orgasm, because let me tell you how important the orgasm is. People say that power is like the thing that most people crave in life. I believe that it is in fact the orgasm. People want that orgasmic explosion of energy. They want that feeling. Constantly, you hear about living an orgasmic life, and we live in an orgasmic universe, and all of these things are good and fine. But understand that the power of the orgasm is something that needs to be harnessed by a spiritually minded person. So when you are releasing that energy through your orgasm, and that's not what that energy was for, that energy was for you to create a work of art or to open a portal in the spiritual realm at your altar, and all of that. Now, I know a lot of people I'm hearing like, well, what about sex magic? I'm not talking about sex magic. I'm talking about sex as being a priest, okay? Being an initiated person, and understanding that we are not manipulating that energy to get what we want. That energy is to manifest something bigger than ourselves. That's why we have children. That's why sex makes children, because children are the multiplicity of us, right? So that energy is not just for your self-gratification. And, I'm not judging that, because, every now and then I guess you do have to get a nut off, and like I said, I'm a fully functioning, healthy adult female, so I get it. But when you are a spiritual person and you live a spiritual life, it is important to approach everything from that spiritual perspective, especially sex, because it can cause so many problems when it's out of alignment. So it's important that you understand all the ancestral implications of being a healer, dating a healer, being a healer who's interested in dating, and all of that. When you have ancestors, it makes you a bit exclusive, okay? It makes you a bit exclusive. It kind of puts you in a separate little group, and you can either complain about that and be upset about it, or you can learn to master your energy. until your ancestors bring you the partner who can help you and who can support you in your journey. So that is all that I have. I believe that's all that I have. Yeah, that's it. Your body is not your own. You share it with your ancestors and with your spirit guides. Sex is never casual. Sexual arousal doesn't always have to lead to sexual intercourse. There are other ways that you can express your sexual energy in healthy and productive and spiritually aligned ways. Masturbation and self-pleasure, that's a highly personal thing that I do feel like you still have to consult and commune with your spirits and your guides to know what it is exactly that you're feeling. Because see, a lot of times when you've had trauma, right? A lot of times when you've had trauma, it is important to recognize and to reclaim what was taken in the traumatic experience, especially sexual violence, right? And so for myself, as a survivor, self-pleasuring, and that's just not masturbation just to have an orgasm. That's getting back in touch with my body, like reclaiming my body because it was violated. And so I had to reclaim it. But that was a part of a spiritually guided process. And so I had to bring balance to the sexual energy to understand that the hypersexual nature of people who have experienced sexual violence and sexual trauma in their lives, it's a result. The hypersexuality is a result of the trauma and trying to resolve itself. And so guided meditations, tantric work, non-sexual tantric work to begin with for people who have been victims of sexual violence and gender-based violence, I feel is a very, very important and beneficial tool. If anybody is interested in tantric work, I can give you some referrals to help bring you back into your body. Because I like to use the word self-pleasuring more than masturbation, because masturbation is really focused solely on the genitals and focused solely on the expression of the orgasm. Whereas self-pleasure is about your whole body and understanding that your whole body is supposed to feel good, right? Your whole body is supposed to feel good when it's touched. And releasing the trauma from your body. So that's what I feel like self-pleasure is more encompassing than masturbation. But even when we're talking about masturbation and having solo sex, right, it still falls under the same governance of Idlozi, of your spirit guides. It still falls under that same covering and that same heading, because you're opening yourself up to certain energies, and you just may not know what it is. So it's just important when you are an initiated person, when you are a healer, a Sangoma, a priest, that you always check in with spirit so that you don't make foolish decisions. Or, as I would say, so that you don't make stupid dick-based or vagina-based decisions. You don't want to make those types of decisions when you are a healer, when you are an initiated person. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and swipe over. Okay, so I see that I'm getting questions like in my inbox, which is fine. You are more than welcome to inbox me your questions if you don't want to. If you don't want to post them in the comments, that's fine. You can inbox me. You can email me at Gogo uMkhanya. That's GOGOUMKHANYA @gmail.com. You can definitely email me there. You can find me on Instagram at Gogo uMkhanyakude. You can find me on Twitter at Dion Shanette, DIONNESHANNETTE. That is in fact my given name. You can find me on my website, which is bit.ly/1 Gogo uMkhanyakude, and you want to capitalize the first G and you want to capitalize that first M when you're putting that into your web browser. So I do look forward to hearing from you. Until our next time, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope this was a blessing to you. Tokozan.